The avoidant isn't texting you not because they forgot, but because they're waiting for you to do it first. Have you ever felt that strange kind of silence? They've stopped texting, stopped reaching out, left no signs that they miss you. You assume they've moved on. But the truth is, they're quietly waiting for you to break the silence. Avoidantly attached people rarely express what they truly feel. They won't tell you they miss you, need you, or are hurting. Instead, they leave behind subtle traces watching your stories, dropping vague posts, hinting through silence. They don't come closer, but they don't walk away either. And the heartbreaking part is, you're the one pushed into the role of the one who understands without being told. Oh, but what does that mean for you? Should you stay silent or reach out? How do you tell the difference between a signal of longing and a tactic of emotional control? Today's video will help you uncover 10 subtle yet powerful signs that an avoidant is silently hoping you'll reach out. And more importantly, you'll learn how to recognize their quiet longing without sacrificing your inner peace. So hit subscribe and stay with me until the end, because sometimes clarity isn't found in what they do. It's found in what you choose: silence out of freedom or contact out of fear. After an avoidant pulls away, the first thing you might notice isn't the pain they left behind. It's their unsettling calmness. They don't get angry. They don't blame you. They don't reach out like most people might after a conflict. Instead, they disappear and reappear somewhere else, wearing a whole new face. A cheerful photo at a coffee shop, a story about work, a smiling group hangout, and you sit there wondering, how can they seem so fine? But here's the truth. That's not peace. That's a mask. Avoidantly attached people have a distinct defense mechanism. They choose to look okay rather than admit they're emotionally overwhelmed. Because in their inner world, emotions feel dangerous. And to avoid confronting that chaos, they opt to pretend nothing ever happened. Look closer. The way they become too fine, too quiet, too busy. It's often the behavior of someone trying to convince themselves they no longer need you. They won't share their sadness because that would require vulnerability. They won't apologize because that would mean admitting a need for connection. Instead, they wear "I'm fine" like armor, using silence as a tool to maintain emotional control. In truth, if they had really moved on, they wouldn't need to prove they're okay. People who are truly at peace don't need to perform it, but avoidants do because they need to hide. To them, being fine isn't a feeling, it's an act, a way to protect the image that I don't need anyone. And the saddest part, they're not pretending for you, they're pretending for themselves. And inside that fake peace lies a quiet, suffocating contradiction. The more they pretend to be okay, the lonelier they feel. The harder they try to forget you, the more effort they spend avoiding the thought of you. One day, just when you think you're starting to let go, they appear, not with a clear message, not with a direct, "I miss you," but with the smallest signs so subtle, you start to question if you're imagining it. They view your story. They suddenly like an old post from 2 months ago. They send a random meme without context. They leave a vague comment on a photo that has nothing to do with your history, as if saying, "I'm still here, but I won't say it outright." These are what we call breadcrumbs, tiny emotional fragments. Not enough to hold on to, yet not distant enough to walk away from. And sadly, you're the one left to decode every signal. For avoidant types, this is instinctual. They're not ready for real connection, but they also can't handle being forgotten. So they test the waters. They send ambiguous gestures, just enough to see if you'll still respond. If you do, they feel safe, reassured, they still have emotional pull. If you don't, they retreat not out of indifference, but because they don't know how to handle the pain of rejection. You're not imagining things. Those small signs have intention. They're not full care, but not total neglect. They are covert signals of fear and longing from someone afraid to be seen, yet terrified of being erased. But here's the truth. Breadcrumbs will never lead to real connection. They keep you suspended, caught between hope and doubt. You begin to read too much into likes, views, messages, as if love can be found in digital dust. A person who wants to build something real won't just drop crumbs. They'll show up. If someone only leaves vague signals but never steps forward, they're using you to soothe their own fear. Breadcrumbs are not the actions of someone building intimacy. They're the reflex of someone checking if you're still emotionally available so they don't feel invisible. And one day, you'll have to ask yourself, am I surviving on scraps, or do I deserve something whole? After some time of silence, when nothing is said out loud anymore, the only thing that lingers between you and them are those subtle signs like echoes in the dark. They don't text to say they miss you. They don't call to ask you back. But you see them listening to that song, the one only you two know the meaning of. They visit the old coffee shop again, or post a vague status, no names, but it hits you exactly where only your shared memories could reach. That's an emotional echo, the way avoidants feel their longing without saying it out loud, because saying it would mean exposing the softest, most vulnerable part of themselves. They've learned to not need anyone, or at least, they've learned to hide it well. For avoidants, memory becomes the safest place for emotion. They can't approach you, but they circle the things that used to belong to you. They don't knock on your heart's door, they just tap gently on the memories, like someone whispering from afar, "I'm still here." And you feel it. Not because they say anything, but because you sense the subtle movement like a quiet vibration of something that was never fully healed. But that's what makes it so confusing. You start asking, do they still miss me? Is this a sign they've changed? Or is it simply that they need a dose of memory to soothe a loneliness they don't even understand? The truth is, emotional echoes don't always mean reconciliation. Often, it's just their unconscious attempt to feel connection without risking closeness. They let emotions live secretly through memory, never allowing them to exist fully in the present. And here's what you need to remember. An echo isn't an invitation. It's just a memory that hasn't faded, bouncing once more, then disappearing. If you chase it, trying to respond, you might pull yourself back into a cycle you've worked so hard to escape. Listen, understand, but don't let yourself be the only one holding on to what was once shared. Because sometimes, all they really want is to know they're still remembered, not necessarily to come back and begin again. One of the most subtle behaviors of avoidantly attached individuals is remaining silent without fully withdrawing. They won't send proactive messages or check in directly, yet they leave digital traces, viewing your stories, liking an old post, scrolling past your profile without commenting. From the outside, it might appear that they are fine, but in reality, this is a calculated strategy, a way to maintain emotional control over you while protecting themselves from vulnerability. Researchers on attachment, Cassidy and Shaver, 2016, note that avoidants often employ distance-maintaining behaviors to preserve inner safety. They crave connection but fear closeness, resulting in emotionally restrained behaviors that manipulate their environment. Controlled silence exemplifies this. They never disappear completely, but leave just enough to make you feel a void that needs filling, pulling you into anxiety and hope. This behavior produces sustained emotional tension. Observing them in subtle ways activates your brain's safety-seeking system as you start monitoring every signal, searching for evidence of care. Bowlby, 1988, describes this as the activation of the attachment system, explaining why avoidants maintain a strong psychological pull even when physically distant. A notable aspect is the calculated gap. They let you see signs of their presence but not enough to fully approach. This gap creates instability and suspense, making you feel hope while keeping real connection out of reach, like a psychological lure that draws you closer while keeping them safe from emotional exposure. The effect can produce long-term stress, prompting self-doubt. Am I overreacting? Or do they really care? Mikulincer and Shaver, 2012, found that partners in relationships with avoidance often show elevated stress hormone levels, reflecting the body's heightened alert state in response to relational uncertainty. It's crucial to recognize that this behavior is not malicious. It is an emotional survival mechanism. Avoidants learn early that power lies in distance, and maintaining you in an emotional gap protects them from vulnerability. From your perspective, identifying this gap is an opportunity to set healthy boundaries. Recognizing that their signals are part of an indirect emotional map allows you to stay grounded, avoiding the push-pull cycle of hope and disappointment. Remember, true control lies in managing your reactions, not trying to change them. There are moments when you're alone, working or walking, and suddenly you feel a strange pull towards them, even though they aren't present. You wonder, why am I thinking about them now? You sense a subtle, vague emotion, nameless and undefined. This is their energy lingering in your emotional space, suspended between you, an invisible thread still connecting the two of you. Avoidantly attached people know how to use absence as a tool. When they withdraw, it's not because they don't care. On the contrary, their silence serves as a subtle pull, a way to keep you mentally present in their world without confronting vulnerability directly. They let you feel the gap, prompting you to analyze and think about them. That gap creates tension, stressful, yet impossible to break completely. Attachment research, Fraley and Shaver, 2000, shows that avoidants use distance and absence to maintain emotional control and keep their partner in a heightened, attentive state. Absence is not total withdrawal. It's a strategy to remain psychologically present. This effect is often called the emotional pull, an invisible force creating a sense of being tethered. You notice them everywhere. In dreams, songs, familiar places, even trivial social media posts. Every small trace makes you wonder, are they thinking of me? It draws you closer while simultaneously triggering hesitation, creating a state that feels simultaneously strange and binding. The fascinating, yet challenging part is that avoidants do not actively seek your approach, but they also do not abandon you. They leave a space for you to fill, thereby maintaining control while protecting themselves from vulnerability. You realize their presence isn't just in their actions, but in how you sense them, in the rhythm of memories and energy they left behind. Importantly, attachment research emphasizes that this perceived energy is real, but doesn't necessarily reflect full love or care. It is an emotional survival reflex, a way to maintain connection without facing exposure. From your perspective, recognizing this pull is an opportunity to stay grounded and maintain boundaries. You can feel the longing, but still choose not to react compulsively. Once you understand, the distance and energy are their choice, not your responsibility, you can preserve your inner peace. Ultimately, recognizing this helps you understand, even in their absence, you control how you respond, and you are not trapped in the strange, lingering pull they unconsciously created. When an avoidant withdraws, you might think they've disappeared completely. No messages, no check-ins, no visible sign of care. But the truth is, they're still watching. They won't comment, like, or text, but they view your stories, scroll through your posts, quietly making sure you're still there, still living, still moving, and maybe not yet forgetting them. This is a form of cold control, emotional monitoring disguised as indifference. Psychologically, this reflects their fear of being replaced or losing emotional relevance. Avoidants don't move toward you because that risks rejection, yet they can't bear to lose sight of you because that would force them to face the emptiness of no longer being seen. Gillath and Shaver, 2007, describe this as covert monitoring, a behavior where avoidants maintain hidden observation of people they were emotionally attached to. They don't seek intimacy, they seek reassurance that they still hold influence. It's not love, it's control disguised as composure. As long as you're visible, posting, existing, they feel safe, their world remains predictable. But when you go silent, vanish, or stop updating, their illusion of peace begins to crack. They start reappearing subtly, revisiting old photos, watching your stories more often, maybe posting vague quotes or sending casual messages to test your response. This creates a paradox. The farther they pull away, the more they need to watch. The more they insist on independence, the more they fear being forgotten. And the more they fear, the tighter they monitor, yet never daring to re-engage fully. Energetically, this forms a one-sided connection. They connect through observation, memory, or screens, but not through real intimacy. They want to know, not to feel. They want to hold onto your image, without facing the reality of closeness. What makes this dangerous is that you can still feel it. Their silent observation lingers like an unseen gaze. You sense them watching, even when you can't explain why. It keeps you slightly tethered, anxious, aware of an invisible presence that never materializes. But here's the truth. Their silent watch isn't a sign of love, it's their way of controlling the fear of being forgotten. They're not observing to reconnect, they're observing to maintain power. It's not affection, it's a survival reflex. And once you understand this, you can finally free your energy from their invisible gaze. Don't confuse observation with intention. If they truly wanted to return, they would show up. If they only need to know you're still there, let them look, from behind the boundary you now protect. There are moments when they suddenly share something profound, a memory, a thought, or a feeling they've never revealed before. You hear it, your heart aches, and you think, finally, they're ready to be close. This moment brings hope. Hope that the person you deeply loved, who once withdrew endlessly, now sees the value of connection and is willing to open up. But this hope rarely lasts. Hours or days later, they retreat again, returning to the familiar silence, to distances you thought were erased. You feel disappointed, confused, even self-blaming. Did I do something wrong? Why can't they stay? This is not deception, nor is it lack of feeling. Research on attachment, Mikulincer and Shaver, 2016, shows that avoidantly attached individuals struggle to maintain closeness. When emotions become intense, they don't know how to stabilize themselves within connection. They fear being overwhelmed, losing control, and confronting dependency, which they have always avoided. This phenomenon is often called emotional testing. They open the door briefly but don't fully enter. The purpose is not manipulation. It is to test their own sense of safety. When you respond warmly, they feel reassured, but once fear returns, they withdraw, often before they even understand what they truly want. This creates an emotional loop. You feel hope, they withdraw. You feel disappointment, they appear indirectly, you hope again. The loop is exhausting yet compelling, because those brief moments of openness carry immense emotional weight, tapping into your empathy and longing. Psychologists note that temporary emotional disclosure and avoidance is a way to experience closeness without long-term responsibility. They've learned that strong connection comes with risk, so they open briefly and retreat, not because they don't care, but because they cannot stay with both fear and desire simultaneously. The key for you is to realize their moments of openness do not necessarily signify commitment. You can feel the connection, but remain aware and grounded, avoiding being pulled into a game they are not fully ready to play. Understanding this gives you power. Their openness signals a need for connection, not a promise. Their withdrawal is self-protection, not rejection. You can acknowledge their feelings, yet maintain your own emotional boundaries. This awareness allows you to empathize without surrendering control. You can feel, but not be controlled. And that is the first step toward re-establishing boundaries and preserving inner peace. We've just explored the subtle signals of avoidant partners, from feigned calmness, indirect appearances, emotional echoes, controlled silence, to moments of brief openness, followed by withdrawal. Each behavior reveals their fears, needs, and ways of protecting themselves. The most important lesson is this: your self-worth matters more than any fleeting hope or temporary disappointment. Recognizing how they maintain distance and control emotions gives you the power to choose, to let go and preserve your inner peace rather than being caught in uncontrolled emotional cycles. Learning to recognize, respect your boundaries, and maintain emotional safety is the most vital step in the journey of self-love. Thank you for staying until the end of this video and taking the time to explore these insights with me. I genuinely appreciate your presence. If you found this content helpful, please comment below to share your thoughts or personal experiences. Your story might help others recognize their own worth and navigate avoidant relationships more consciously. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss upcoming videos, where we'll continue learning how to nurture ourselves, maintain inner peace, and fully embrace self-love. Remember, every small step you take today is part of the journey toward a stronger, freer, and more empowered version of yourself.